Hello and welcome back to another chatty video. Today marks day 6 out of me trying to post consistently for 30 days, so I'm pretty proud of myself. We've almost made it through the first week, and I've already noticed that I'm kind of expanding my capacity in terms of filming and wanting to post online. In the beginning of the week, I started out with just my MacBook and my little headset microphone so that it would make it easy. I can just sit down, film, and then post it immediately. And I'm already find myself like reaching for my different cameras and my other mics and just kind of wanting to experiment with things. So I'm finding it really interesting that the more that I'm doing it, the easier it's kind of becoming, and the more that I'm kind of searching to expand what I'm already doing. So hopefully this can continue throughout the rest of the 30 days that I'm doing this practice. I'm really excited to see how that will turn out. But today is Saturday. I woke up a little bit late this morning. I wasn't really feeling too guilty about it because it is Saturday, and just because I woke up late doesn't mean that I can't still have a good and productive day. But it's funny how the less pressure I put on myself to be productive, the more productive I actually turn out. Like I didn't put pressure on myself to clean or do dishes or anything, but I'm already feeling like I want to just do it because I feel like I deserve to have a clean house and I deserve to have no dishes in the sink. So I want to do that for myself. So it's kind of crazy how much more energy I'm kind of getting with the less pressure that I'm putting on myself to actually accomplish things. So I think that's kind of cool. But one thing that I have really been thinking about lately, and I've kind of talked about a little bit, but is just me trying to figure out who I am and how I can be more myself every day. And that's something that I want to make a little bit more of a thought out video for, instead of just chatting about it spontaneously. I want to like a little bit think a bit bleh. I want to like think about it a little bit more and jot down my thoughts and kind of review them and kind of go through what I'm actually thinking. But so far I've kind of realized that the reason that I don't really know who I am and it's hard to be myself is because I've kind of hid myself, for lack of a better term. I don't really show up as myself all the time. And that's not to say that I'm just pretending to be somebody so that I can be friends with people, or I'm pretending like I'm a good person when I'm really secretly evil. It's just that I think I hide a lot of parts of my personality that I think are too much, or I'm scared that people will just feel like, oh my God, this is a little bit too much for me. Let's let's move away. So I am trying to do less of that and trying to show up authentically in conversations and just when I'm hanging out with people. And even show up authentically with myself, because sometimes I think that I can think that I want to do something, or I want to wear a certain outfit, or I want to go somewhere, but in my mind, I will think like, oh, that's not what I usually do. So, why would I, like, that's not what I'm used to. That's not who I am. So I stop myself from doing that. But me having that urge or that want to begin with is showing that that is who I am. I just haven't explored that part of myself. So, lately it's been a lot of kind of exploring different things that I like, but me hiding myself, I think I've always thought that to make me like a humble person. Like I hold back in conversations because I don't want to monopolize the conversation. I don't want to like take that light from anybody else. But I heard this phrase in somebody's video and it kind of changed my perspective on it. It was that hiding is not actually humility, it's actually just fear. And I think that fear is what I mentioned, just like me being scared that I will be too much for people, or people will think I'm weird, or like if somebody sees who I truly am and they still don't like me, then that will actually be confirmation to me that like, oh, who I am is not good or not right. And that's totally the wrong way of thinking, because it doesn't really matter what other people think. As long as I am happy with myself, then that should be enough at the end of the day. I don't know why I feel like I crave validation and I need people to accept me. I need to be accepted in a group. I think it's just like a lot of wounds from growing up of me feeling like I was the friend who was not necessarily left out, but it was like I was kind of like the floater friend, you know, like I could be invited or I could not be invited and it wouldn't really make a difference. Or like on my cheer team, I was really shy, so I didn't really speak up and share myself enough to make really close friendships like all of the other girls did. And I felt like kind of an outsider. And I think growing up that way and kind of seeing the world that way has made me just have that wound of like, who I really am will not be accepted, so I'm going to hide that. And since I haven't really got that validation or felt accepted by any particular group, I crave it more and I want to be accepted more. So that in turn kind of has made me hide myself more. So obviously that's not working because I have not felt satisfied. So that's what I'm trying to change. I'm trying to show up as myself, even when I feel like other people might be annoyed or they might not agree with everything I have to say, or, whatever their opinion is of me, it shouldn't affect the things that I do. Yeah. And I think like, most of us honestly are living for validation and living for some type of acceptance in society. I really don't know what it is. There's probably a lot more to that, like propaganda and society just wanting us to, stay in place and not expand. But we don't need to get into that today. That's way too much. If you try something new and you're going to and it fails, you will learn how to adapt and learn what didn't work and what worked. And I think the quote was something like, if you're drowning, you will learn how to swim. Like, you will survive at the end of the day. You will learn how to survive. And I think that's something that I've always been scared of, is getting into that drowning scenario of like trying something and it didn't work. And now I feel of like trying something and it doesn't work. And then figuring out how to move on from that. I think I've always been scared of failing. And so I haven't really tried anything. I haven't put myself out there to give myself that chance to fail. And without giving myself the chance to fail, I'm also not really giving myself the chance to learn how to swim. So yeah, I think just trying to be more comfortable in the uncomfortable, be more comfortable pushing my boundaries and getting out of the space where I just need to be safe all the time, can really help me grow. So that's what's been on my mind lately, just thinking about how I could be more myself and trying to do that in real time. It's a way easier said than done. Like I can sit here in my house, like I could sit here while I'm home alone and be like, yeah, I'm going to be myself and I'm going to do everything that I want. I don't care what anybody else thinks. But when I'm actually like out in the real world and I'm around like real people, I think I tend to like shrink myself like automatically because that's just what I'm used to. So how to do it practically, I haven't really figured that out yet, but I think it's just doing the things that you want to do in your head, like actually following through with those thoughts. So I think a big thing is like when people are making comments or jokes that you don't really find funny, but you get that urge to laugh anyways because you don't want this room or whatever to be uncomfortable. I think instead of like forcing myself to laugh or crack a smile, I can just not do that, which definitely is really hard for me. I know that in uncomfortable situations, I am the one to like laugh or, whatever. But I really hate making other people feel uncomfortable. And I think that's like a huge thing that I need to get past because other people's comfort is not my responsibility. It should be my own comfort that is more of a priority. And I think a lot of times I have made myself be okay being uncomfortable as long as other people are comfortable, if that makes sense. So hopefully I can be more comfortable with other people being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. But yeah. So one example that I was talking about when I was getting my nails done actually is that sometimes me and Kevin will be at a party and blah, 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 everything will be going on. I'll like take him off to the side and say like a little joke and then he will laugh and then he will repeat the joke even louder than I did to like the whole group and then everybody else will laugh. And then I'll be sitting there like, hello, you stole my joke. You stole like all the aura I would get from that joke. And I think that's a lesson in learning to speak up and not just be so quiet and hide the things that I want to share, because you never know, maybe everybody will laugh. And, the other side would be everybody will just be a little bit uncomfortable. And so I think I'm learning to speak up and not just share my jokes with Kevin, but share them with everybody. But that being like a metaphor with me sharing who I am with everybody and not just like the people that I feel most comfortable with. And I think sometimes what has also held me back from talking about things that I like or sharing my opinions is that I have seen other people express the same opinions as me. So when I see them talking about it, I kind of think in my head like, okay, so they already talked about it. There's no point for me to share my thoughts on it because it's kind of basically the same. But that's not true, because sometimes I think we do need to hear things multiple times to really get it to click in our heads. So I think just because other people might have the same opinions as you or might be talking about the same things that you want to talk about doesn't mean that it's worthless for you to express your opinion, because we all have a different way of interpreting and sharing our thoughts with the world that, to somebody it might not make sense, but to another person it will just click. And if I hold myself back from sharing my experiences, then I might be like preventing somebody from understanding or somebody from getting it. Like, I don't know. And then I think it's also helping me because the more that I'm talking about the things that I'm trying to change and work on, the more that I think about it and the different thoughts or ideas come to my head, different ways that might work for me. So it's really just helping me just constantly be in that mindset of me wanting to better who I am every day and just become close and really just get closer to who I really am at the core. I think me saying that I want to be better really just means that I want to be more myself. And I think for a long time I've kind of lost that. I kind of thought that self-improvement and self-development was just about like being more productive and making more money and being fitter, being healthier and all these things. But at the end of the day, even if I'm a millionaire, I have like my dream body, if I feel like I am not myself or I didn't get there by being myself, then I won't be satisfied and I'll still be feeling the same way. I won't feel fulfilled in a way. I'll always feel a little bit empty. Even if I have a house full of things that I like, if I'm not acting true to myself, then I will always feel a little bit empty. And so I think the true goal of self-development and improving ourselves is really just to get a little bit closer to who we are, at our core. Especially because like my goals are not going to be the same as this next person's goals or your goals. Your goals are not going to be the same as mine. Your dream body is not going to be the same as my dream body. And if I am just thinking in a way that is only fitting society or fitting what I think other people will look at and think finally accept me, then I will never really accept myself, or I'll never feel happy with who I am. So yeah, being yourself is not really as easy as it sounds. I think it takes a lifetime to figure out who we are. Yeah, like throughout our whole life, we are just on that journey back to ourselves. So I am getting closer and closer to who I truly am every day, and I truly feel like it is kind of changing my life. Definitely first internally, I'm really feeling it, and I can't wait to see, how it will reflect in the real world. But I'm already seeing it in a way that I am being able to keep my house a little bit cleaner because that's what I deserve. I'm seeing it and I'm kind of changing. My outsides are kind of reflecting my inside. I remember like years ago, maybe like 2020, I think this was right after the pandemic, so 2020, but I was experimenting with doing different hairstyles, and I remember it was these like pigtail, like half up, half down pigtails, and I remember doing it for the first time and thinking like, oh my God, I'm an imposter. Like when I go outside, everybody is gonna know that she's never done this hairstyle before and it's her first time. And like now I don't really care. I don't care if anybody likes my hair or if they like my makeup. I'm just doing it because I like it. And in turn, that does make other people like it more, which I guess makes sense because when you are embodying who you truly are, I think other people can really feel it. They feel that energy from you of just like having that zest for life again, or, when you really love yourself and are comfortable being yourself, I think other people can definitely feel it. So even if it's not something that they normally would like when I see people on the street and they have like a crazy outfit, but they're rocking it and they are like have their chin up high and they are they are confident in who they are and that's what they want to wear. I think like I admire them and I think that their outfit looks way better than I might have thought if I, just saw it on a mannequin or if I saw it on somebody who was just like wearing it because that's what they thought people would want to see from them. So I'm trying to do that for myself, and the more that I'm doing it, the more that it feels safer to kind of step outside of my comfort zone. So it really is true. The more you do something, the easier it is. So unfortunately, we do really need to do the hard things more, and it will get a little bit easier. Definitely not easy. It still is like I still feel resistance in the moment, but once I push through that initial like resistance or uncomfortability, I in turn feel better than if I didn't. No matter what we do, I think there is that risk that we will be uncomfortable or it will be a bad experience. And I think I would prefer that even if I have a bad experience, I would prefer that it's because I'm myself and not because I am pretending to be somebody. Because like if I'm going for a friendship and I am myself and they still don't like me, I can walk away saying, okay, maybe I wanted to be friends with this person and it didn't work out, but at least I stayed true to myself and I brought my whole self to the table and that's what they decided they didn't like. So it just means they're not meant for my life. Versus if I were to try to be friends with somebody and I kind of catered myself more to their personality and I wasn't truly myself, but then something still happened and we still weren't friends, I will kind of be left with, well, damn, like I wasn't even myself and this shitty situation happened. So really what benefit was there? There was no good. Like maybe I'll even think like if I was myself, maybe the relationship would have actually worked. So yeah, I think at least if we're being ourselves, we will be able to have that. And that can be like the silver lining on any situation, even if it goes wrong. And then one last thing I wanted to talk about because everybody's talking about it. I watched the Odyssey on Thursday. Oh my God. I think that is my new favorite movie. For me, it was a 10 out of 10. The pacing was amazing. I didn't feel bored at all, even though it was a 3-hour movie. I can't really imagine if they could have shortened it at all. I feel like every scene was pretty important and there was no really slow parts. Of course, the story is crazy because it's like the Odyssey, but the acting I thought was also really good. Like everybody was perfect in their parts. Just the filming was insane. All of the scenes when they're like in the sea on their ship with the storms and everything is freaking crazy. The Cyclops and the sirens, and it was just like everything that I really like all at once. So I really liked it. I really recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it. It was something that I wasn't honestly going to watch, but my parents invited us to the movies. So I was like, okay, I'll go watch it. And I came out of it like way, way more entertained than I thought I would be. I kind of thought it would just be like a movie that I don't really care about. And a really long like guy movie, but it was really good. And I remember reading the Odyssey in high school, but I don't really remember the story too much. I don't really have any crazy thoughts that I can share, but it was a good movie. I rated it 10 out of 10 and I recommend it. So we watched it in regular IMAX, which honestly, regular IMAX, I can't find a difference between like a regular movie theater. I know that the 70 millimeter IMAX has like a wider screen, so that makes it worth it. But I think if you're going for just regular IMAX versus like Dolby or like a regular theater with recliners, I would go with the reclining seats because watching it in IMAX with the regular like old chairs was kind of a little bit uncomfortable, and I don't know. I felt like it looked like a regular movie theater to me. So if there are any like pretentious movie snobs out there that can explain why regular IMAX is better than just seeing it regularly, let me know, because I didn't see it, but maybe, I don't know, who knows. But yeah, I think that's everything that's been on my mind lately. So thank you for spending time with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.